This is the Databricks Data Engineer podcast. There's one round in a lot of Databricks loops that quietly decides the close calls, and you walked out of it thinking it went fine. No whiteboard, no rubric you could see, just a chat. By the end of this walk, you'll know what that round is testing, why your strongest technical answers can't win it for you, and the one thing to rehearse this week. You prep the SQL, the Spark internals, the system design, maybe a take-home. And then there's the conversation you treat as filler. Let's go sit where the decision gets made. Picture the debrief room after a loop, not the interview. The room after, where the panel decides. Two candidates went through that day. Call them Alex and Sam. On paper, a coin flip. SQL basically tied. Spark internals, both solid. System design, both drew a clean ingestion layer and handled the follow-ups. If you scored only the rounds with a rubric, you could not separate these two. And yet, the room isn't split. One is getting the offer, and one isn't. And the thing that decided it wasn't any of the rounds they studied for. It was the conversation with the hiring manager. The one both walked out of thinking was easy. So here's the villain of this episode. Not a bad interviewer. Not a trick question. The villain is a belief, and it sounds completely reasonable. The rounds with a clear rubric are the ones that matter, and the conversational rounds are filler you coast through on charm. That belief feels logical. It also quietly kills loops. Let me show you how it played out. The moment is so specific, you'll recognize it. The hiring manager asks both the same thing. Not a Spark question, a simple sounding one. Tell me about a design decision you'd make differently now. Watch what Alex does, because Alex is doing the reasonable thing. He hears, tell me about, and reaches for the prepared material. I built the pipeline for our whole event stream. I migrated us to Unity catalog. I cut our nightly job time roughly in half. Every word of it is true. Every word impressive. And Alex is answering the question they wished they'd been asked. Tell me how good you are. But that wasn't the question. It had two words Alex sailed right past. Differently now. The manager didn't ask what you built. They asked what you'd change. And Alex, running on interview adrenaline, treated a why question like a what question. Listed the trophies and walked out feeling good. Sound familiar? And I want to be careful here. This isn't a junior mistake. Strong engineers do this. The better your projects, the more tempting it is to reach for the highlight reel. The trap is baited with your own best work. Now watch Sam answer the same question. Sam pauses, then tells one story. We built our ingestion around a single big nightly batch. At the time, that was right. Small data volume, 3-person team. Streaming would have been more than we could maintain. So far it sounds like Alex. Here's where it splits. But I was wrong about how fast the volume would grow. Within a year we were blowing past the batch window, and the fix was far more painful than if we'd designed for it earlier. What changed my mind was the on-call pages clustering around month end. If I did it again, I'd have built the seam for streaming in from day one. That's it. That's the whole difference. And the panel felt it instantly. So, let me name what just happened. Once you have the name, you'll spot this round next time. That conversation was secretly running a test. I call it the judgment out loud test. And the round it lives in, the one with no whiteboard and no rubric you can see. That's the unscored round, unscored to you, very much scored by them. Here's what the unscored round actually measures, not what you know. Whether you can reason about your own decisions out loud, under a little ambiguity. Can you hold a choice you made, examine it honestly, find where you were wrong, and say it without getting defensive? That's the core senior signal. The technical rounds can't test it, because they have right answers. This one doesn't. It tests how you think when there's no answer key. Now, a caveat because it matters. This round decides things once you've cleared the technical bar. Earlier in your career, the scored rounds are still what eliminate you. If you can't pass the SQL and the system design, no chat saves you. But once you're past that bar, here's the part that surprises people. Your strongest technical round can't win a close call. You can ace every rubric in the building and still lose the one round that asks, "But can you think?" So why does this round exist? Put yourself on the other side of the table. You're hiring someone who'll make calls you'll never review. The architecture and trade-offs you can test with a SQL prompt. The only window into how they reason under uncertainty is to make them reason out loud about a real decision, and that signal moves around. Sometimes it's a dedicated chat with the hiring manager. Sometimes it's smuggled into the system design round, when they stop asking you to draw and start asking what you'd change. Wherever it shows up, it's the same test. The casual conversation is just where it lives most. Now here's where it gets useful. There are exactly 3 ways people fail this round, and once you can name them, you can stop doing them. The first is what Alex did: defaulting to accomplishments. You hear an open-ended question and reach for the highlight reel. The tell is that your answer has no turn in it, no moment where something changed, just a list of wins. And the list of wins in this round reads as someone who's never examined their own work, right? If everything you've ever built was great, the manager hears one of 2 things. Either you don't reflect or you're managing them. Neither gets the offer. The second failure feels safest and is actually the most dangerous. Never admitting a wrong call. You get the "what would you do differently" question and give a non-answer. "Honestly, I do it the same way. It worked out." Or the fake humility version, where your weakness is secretly a strength. "I cared too much about code quality." You think you're protecting yourself. What the panel hears is someone who can't tell the difference between a decision that worked and a decision that was right. If you can't name one decision you'd genuinely change, they can't tell whether you learn. The third failure is the quiet one, going silent when it gets ambiguous. The question opens up. There's no obvious right answer, and instead of thinking out loud, you freeze. A short, safe answer to escape the discomfort. But the discomfort was the test. They wanted to watch you think in the open. When you go quiet, you hand them nothing to evaluate, and nothing to evaluate is its own kind of no. So those are the 3: reaching for trophies, refusing to own a wrong call, going quiet on the ambiguity, and here's the uncomfortable part. You can do all 3 while being a genuinely excellent engineer. That's why this round is so brutal. It's not testing your engineering. It's testing whether you can show your judgment to a stranger in real time. Now, you might be thinking, this just rewards smooth talkers. I'm an engineer, not a storyteller. I get it. But the smooth talker who lists accomplishments fails just as hard as the one who goes quiet. What's rewarded isn't polish. It's honesty with structure. A real decision, a real turn, a real "here's what changed my mind." You don't need charisma for that. You need to have actually thought about your own work. And the good news, this is the one part of the loop you can prep for without learning a single new fact. So let me give you the move. It doesn't take new facts. It takes a few honest walks. Most people prep by building project summaries. 3 things they shipped, ready to recite. That's exactly the material that fails the unscored round, because a summary has no turn in it. So don't build summaries. Build 3 decision stories, and everyone has a wrong turn in it. A decision story has a shape, what you believed at the time and why it was reasonable, what you did. Then the turn, the thing that changed your mind, what you saw, what broke, what surprised you. And finally, what you do differently now and why. That last part is the one everyone skips, and the only part that's actually being scored. 3 of those. Rehearsed out loud, not in your head. The first time you hear yourself narrate a wrong call should not be in the room where it counts. Say it on a walk. Say it to a friend. Say it badly the first few times. That's the rehearsal. And about which decisions to pick. Don't pick your cleanest wins. Pick the ones where you were wrong about something real and learned from it. The migration you sequenced badly. The framework you overbuilt. The streaming setup you waited too long on. The wrong turn isn't a weakness to hide, it's the entire signal. So here's the question to carry with you. Not how do I prep for the technical rounds. You'll do that anyway. The real one, of the decisions you're proudest of, which one were you actually wrong about? And can you tell that story out loud without flinching? Because in the close calls, that's the round where the leveling decision gets made. The technical rounds prove you can do the job. The unscored round proves you can be trusted to make the calls. One gets you in the door, the other gets you the offer. And the shift is small, but it's the senior one. The junior move is to study harder for the rounds with a rubric. The senior move is to realize the rubric was never the point, and rehearse the one conversation everyone treats as a throwaway. If this changed how you'll prep for your next loop, send it to someone interviewing right now who thinks the hiring manager chat is the easy part. See you next time.